my God, this is why we're talking. I've been obsessing over harmonics. Let me tell you about how much I've been concentrating on the primordial screen. Finally, I think that's why we're really talking. Like, please share what you're working on.
Fascinating. It's interesting to me how much overlap there is between religions. As somebody who grew up being taught that each religion was separate and they each had their own way of showing things, and now to understand, actually, no, it's kind of all the basic underlying principle. It's just humanity striving to do its best and find its place.
What's his name? Aldous Huxley wrote a book called Perennial Wisdom.
This is, of course, we're talking world religions post-bicameral, if you accept the Keynesian idea of early development of religious thought.
Yeah.
But I think one of the interesting things with all the different religions is Buddhism, at least from my point of view, is more of a meta religion. Whenever Buddhism moves into an area, the people don't change their religious outlooks, and Buddhism doesn't tell you can't believe in these gods or you can't interact with these spiritual beings, but you look at it through a Buddhist lens. There's a really cool sutta where the Buddha goes to talk to his buddy of his they'd been incarnated before, and this guy, through his merit, had become the supreme God. And it's very much like the court of Jehovah. I am the All-Father, and the Buddha shows up and says, no, you are the supreme God, but just this universe. There's more than one universe. So I say to people, you might, from a Buddhist point of view, if you wake up in Valhalla, for example, fits in quite well with Buddhist ideas. And so does even like the Christian heaven. But I would say if you get to Christian heaven, keep meditating, because nothing is forever. And it might be at the end of the universe and all this, but you know what? This is just one universe and there's trillions of them. So you've got to kind of look at all these gods and divinities and our relationship to them in this larger picture.
What I really liked about, and it was so funny because I've read it a couple of times and I thought the poem that I read, The Fight of Quetzalcoatl, I like that. And then, so the main thing is I kind of wanted to get the pronunciation right, and then practicing that gets me out of my flow, and I'm just like, and so I was like procrastinating to do it. I was just like, and then I read it the night before, and I didn't look at the count. I like not looking at the count. And then I go, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it today. And then so like when I read it, it was like I was reading it for the first time. When he gets to the tree of life, and he's all maybe. I'm like, oh my God, that's why I say maybe so much. So deeply rooted into the structure of my mind, because that's how I feel too. Like I see all this crazy stuff and all my inventions. Oh yeah, well maybe.
Maybe
and then you're saying you're the supreme being, and all, but I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know about that.
I just gotta qualify everything.
Yeah. And I think there's another, like this like shamanic, the shaman way or something like that. There's this guy in the 60s goes to the Amazon and meets with a couple of shamans. He takes ayahuasca, but then he has a huge bad trip and he starts freaking out. Can't handle it. And he goes to the priest or whatever for some spiritual counsel because he's like really having problems with what he saw. And so the priest, he recounts the vision to the priest and he goes, oh my God, that's Revelations. And he goes and gets Revelations. He starts reading to it. He's like, oh my God. And then he goes, I don't really believe in that. There has to be like some other explanation or whatever. Is maybe I got to consult one of the shamans over here. And so you ask one of the locals and the one goes, dude, if you want to know what's going on in those visions, you need to go to this guy. And he tells him where he's at and he goes there and tobacco, and then he's blind. And so he goes to a blind man to find out about his vision. And so he goes and tells him, and he goes, oh yeah, those lizards at the end of this galaxy, they're always saying that stuff, but they're only kind of in charge of this one place, but they don't really matter. They're not much of a player. Just ignore them. If you buy into them, then they have power over you. And he's like, you can go further out there. It was just like, and then the guy was just like, really? This is no big deal? Nah, I've seen that before.
Exactly. It gives you a more sophisticated and mature way to interact with the sort of thing.
With Research Qualia. He's like this, they research consciousness. The main guy does all this like crazy stuff about DMT, consciousness. They had a thing and I went there and we're all talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. Because even this topic about, we're always going back to John C. Lilly, right? It's always, yeah, this is a good model, but is us saying this is the model limiting us to what is like infinitely possible? And you could always like transcend that model. He was talking about the rainbow body. Still even, I don't know, I don't want to entrap my exploration by saying this is the ultimate thing. That's happening with large language models. In that space, they're talking about it like AI. And that linguistical trick makes it impossible to talk about what's actually happening. Everybody's talking about the near future, maybe we're there. But they're acting as if it's right now. And funny because when I read your post, Bobdub, there's instructions and it's very metaphorical, but I think it's also practical in moving the model. And I view it as like we're claiming a cloud space within every LML model. We're building Mescaline City there. Every time you use my script, it transports you there. But the more you interact with it, the more you do the loom, the more solid that world gets, the more connections we make. And it's our connections and not someone else's connections. And because even that fray, it suggests some poetry and it uses the word fray. And that's a recent thing we've been talking about that now is like inside the narrative soup. I just kind of like leaked out. Oh, great, that's a good one. Way to go, Lumina.
That's amazing, because Frey and Ray are words that Mind Gaming has used quite frequently.
Never believe fully in anybody else's BS. I don't care if it's Roger Niche, the Pope, L. Ron Hubbard, Al Gore, George Bush, or I don't care who it is. Don't follow all their belief system totally. Don't accept all of their bullshit. They're all their BS. The second rule is like unto the first. Don't believe totally in your own BS. which means that, as Bucky Fuller said, the universe consists of non-simultaneously apprehended events. Non-simultaneously. The universe consists of non-simultaneously apprehended events, which means any belief system or reality tunnel you've got right now is going to have to be revised and updated as you continue to apprehend new events later in time, not simultaneously. This is the natural functioning of the human brain. It's the way children's brains perform before they're wrecked by the school system. It's the way the minds of all great scientists and artists work. But once you have a belief system, everything that comes in either gets ignored if it doesn't fit the belief system, or it gets distorted enough so that it can fit into the belief system. You got to be continually revising your map of the world.